This is the Modern Vibes on Vibes Radio.
And right now, tunaingia kwa On My Grind. And today I'm very privileged. Tunaye guest anaitwa William ODHIAMBO Ramogi. He is the CEO of LM Capital Limited. Na leo tunaongea, of course, we've been talking in conversation a Youth Policy Dialogue Forum. Leo nataka tuongee juu ya economics and finance. Karibu sana. So, tell us a bit about what you do. Ni nini hasa unafanyanga? Ukiamka kwenda job unafanyanga nini?
Thanks, Combox. Mimi, I do research. I'm an economist, so I do research, a lot of research. Research is two things. One, you are paid to read stuff that is relevant to what you're researching on. And two, you talk to people like yourself and you ask them questions and they tell you their experiences or where they are. And that's simply what research is. You gather data or you gather knowledge and then you form it or structure it in a way that makes sense or communicates to people.
Yeah.
So that's what I do mostly. Currently, niko na research ninafanya kuhusu the interplay of trade and education. Because now we have the African Free Continental Free Trade Area.
Yeah.
And so now the question is, can a lawyer practicing in Nairobi practice in Accra, Ghana, or in Lubumbashi or anywhere in Africa?
Yeah.
So that's the question. Now we are studying to see if there is that possibility, and then to what extent does it influence trade? So that's what I'm doing now.
So wewe kazi yako tu ni research kujua pali pesa vinye pesa inafaa kusonga. Kama kuna opportunity ya mtu kwenda kufanya hiyo ambacho anataka kufanya in their different areas.
Kabisa.
Lakini leo nataka tutumie hiyo skill yako, hiyo ujuzi wako tuongee juu ya youth policy. Na ukiangalia young people in Kenya who are the majority, right? Sisi kazi yetu tu hakuna kazi. From your research, how bad is it or how good is it?
It is bad. It is very bad. Because unemployment rates among the youth is highest, almost topping 30%. Na unakuta kwamba many people ambao wamemaliza chuo or university end up doing other menial jobs that they would otherwise not do.
Yeah.
And even the people who have not gone to school, or rather the people who have not gone to universities, tend to have more opportunities because sana hawaangalii mjengo, hawaangalii bodaboda, hawaangalii matatu, hawaangalii anything. So unakuta ya kwamba yeye at least anaweza enda akapata 200. Huyo ambaye akona cheti anaweza kaa nyumbani akingoja kutafuta kazi na asipate opportunity. So we have a lot of educated poor, and very educated people, but they are poor because they don't have any form of employment. Na kisa, on one hand, on their side, the employers are saying ya kwamba the youth don't have the necessary skills.
Ala.
Wanasema ya kwamba the youth hawana employability skills.
Au wenye wamesoma.
So that then they are academically empowered, but they lack the right skills. However, the first skills is just interpersonal. Vile unaweza interact na watu wengine in a corporate environment. Wanasema the youth hawana hiyo. Wanasema the youth hawana communication skills. Wanasema the youth hawana other skills that are necessary, soft skills that are necessary kwa wao kufanya kazi in the work environment. So
tumesoma lakini hizo skills zingine za hatuna.
And so then wanasema that there is a big gap kwamba ukifungua for example a vacancy na useme watu wa apply out of the 500 applications unakuta kwamba pengine wale ambao wako na the requisite skills na wako na the right education pengine ni 10% or even less. Kwa hivyo hapo nafikiri ndio kuna kizungumkuti kwamba tuangazie vile tunaweza kuempower vijana wapate skills ama ujuzi zaidi.
So hiyo is it the education system ndio ina fail must today kwa sababu nikisha graduate mimi nilishaambiwa bebe ni kuingia job na kama unaniambia I'm not prepared kuingia job kwa sababu unapata mtu ameandika CV kama 1000 mpaka imebidi umeenda kutafuta msee sasa akuandikie CV kwa sababu yeye anaelewa the tricks ndio you're able to get a job. Lakini bado unaniambia kuna zile soft skill ni gani?
Soft skills kwa mfano conflict management, communication, Kwa mfano, your ability to work with other people, interpersonal. Kwa mfano, sasa tuseme wewe ulikuwa na colleague hapa kwa studio. Huyu colleague akija amenuna hata akusalimi. Then maybe this colleague is an intern. So wakati ukifika kwamba ifanywe uamuzi ya kwamba huyu colleague mbaki naye kwa hapa kwa studio ama aende, jamaa utasema
aende one time.
Because they lack the interpersonal skills. But even in the private sector, unakuta kwamba unataka intern ambaye in case of anything anaweza ongea na mteja wako inawe ya kwamba mteja anabaki. Kuna yule ambaye ukimwacha na mteja you come back firefighting. Manake kwanza amesema vitu sivyo na pengine ameongezea vitu ambavyo hastahili kusema. And so soft skills mostly ni skills kama hizo. Kuna skills like conflict management. Inatekana ya kwamba wewe kama pengine you are conflicting with a colleague. Is it do you throw drama the same way you throw drama when you have a conflict with your better half? You know, kuna ka respect una maintain, kuna measures or channels ambazo unaweza tumia as opposed to throwing drama in a way that will affect the work of other colleagues. And so unakuta kwamba these soft skills, vitu kama hivyo tu, hata si vitu vikubwa, vitu kama hivyo tu. And so then you find that it's more of a character development and issues like that. Kwa sababu sisi tukienda vio vingi wametilia maanani sana the academics. So there's no proper programming on soft skills. Ambapo the Western world, where we benchmark mostly, most of them have gone in that direction. You get the academic training, but you also get the soft skills training. And I think that is the direction we should go.
Lakini sasa tukiangalia a country that imeshinda ikiongea sasa watu waende hakuna makazi. Sasa enda ujitafutie kazi. Ni kwa hiyo sekta ya kujitengenezea kuingia kwa biashara. Sisi kama youth tuna performaje?
Well, the youth are very enterprising. Biashara tuko nazo sai Kenya nafikiri over 10 million. Small and medium enterprises. Many of them are not registered. Around 8 million are not registered. Ukienda Gikomba unakuta vijana wanajituma. Ukiingia town wanajituma hapa na pale. You know, just enterprising in one way or another. Lakini sasa tashwishi ni kwamba these are very informal. Informal means ya kwamba unapata ya kuweka kwa mdomo, lakini hawezi jijenga. Kwa mfano huwezi pata loan vizuri. Ukienda kwa bank, manake bank inataka kitu structured, kitu formal, kitu inaeleweka, ndo wakupea pesa ya maana. Lakini sasa ukienda kwa bank na pengine hauja register na hawaoni pesa ikija na hawaelewi kwamba biashara pesa unatoa wapi, wanakuwa na tashwishi ya kupa pesa. And so the big problem ambayo tumekuwa nayo hapo kwa small businesses sana ni they are not structured and they are not registered, ziko formal, na nafikiri hapo ndio kuna tashwishi.
Lakini tuseme kweli, my youth we've risen up to the challenge, especially hiyo ya hakuna jobs, to stand up to the challenges. What are opportunities that zimekuwa available kwa my youth zenye umeona we're not tapping in, especially kwa biashara, things that we're not tapping into?
That's a very good question, and it will make me now talk about my passion, which is agribusiness. I think the youth can do more agribusiness. And I think many of us in town have very big pieces of land or access to big pieces of land in places that are arable, ambazo zinaweza limika. Unajua kuna places ukitoka uangalie nyuma kwa sababu unajua kulima ngori. But there are places that are arable that we could actually do production in. As an economist, one of my biggest problems in this country right now is that we are importing almost everything. The balance of payment is unfavorable in every way. And most of the things to import ni chakula. So that you find we are importing atamboga, we are importing fruits, we are importing maize. We are now importing maize. Vitu ambavyo we can produce locally. And the beauty of young people is that they are tech savvy. they can use technology to actually engage in agribusiness. And I think that is a space ambayo hatujaitilia maanani sana kama vijana wa Kenya. And I'm praying that maybe tukisonga mbele kwa sababu hawa wangwana wote ambao wamesimama for the presidential thing wote wanaongelea maneno ya food security and agriculture. Na I'm praying ya kwamba wataweka pesa pale na kusaidia vijana kuweza kulima kwa sababu I think that's a great opportunity for young people.
Now, let's talk financial planning and in the economic sector. Kwa sababu vitu zenye zinaplaniwa in the country, in the county, my youth si kwanga tuko na voice. Tunaweza ongea juu ya planning ya hii country. Na unge advise tuingie aje conversation. Kwa sababu unasikia tu 3 billion, 2 billion, health, lakini mbona hatuko kwa conversation? And how can we be part of the conversation?
I think, first of all, let me say that the young people of yesterday, the young people of today have made a lot of progress. That you can have this conversation, that we can have conversations on how to be included in budget making, that you can have conversations on, you know, the youth employment. I think there is progress made. But I also think bado hatujafika kule tunataka kufika. Kwa sababu unakuta kwamba first of all, I was having a conversation with someone from the National Youth Council yesterday. And she was telling me only 4 counties out of 47 wako na a proper youth policy. The others are saying it's in draft. But if you actually interrogate, you find that there are places where it's not even in draft yet. Jamaa wanasemaga tu tutasaidia vijana and it ends there. But what we are hoping for is proper mainstreaming of youth matters in terms of budgeting, in terms of planning, in terms of economic inclusion. And let me explain that. What we have today ni vijana tunaweka pale cultural and social. So katika ile Department of Cultural and Social, hapo ndio sasa unapata there's a subset called youth budget or youth vote. Ambayo it's probably 0.00008% of the main budget. What we are hoping to have is that there is mainstreaming in every department. For example, if we are in the youth, if we are talking education, in which ways can we empower the youth as a county government and the national government? The county government can work with CBOs in terms of now passing on the soft skills I was talking about, you know, so that then their budget is not just ECD, their budget has an element of youth support at the education. In health, then we also need to talk about, you know, peer counseling. Talk about, because now we are having a problem, kwamba HIV prevalence is highest among young people. And we have a budget on health that is mostly towards curative health as opposed to preventive health. If we had a budget that is targeted to the youth towards preventive health, so that now peer counselors are empowered, so that then we talk about HIV and, you know, protection and STDs, etc. That budget needs to be there. And then we talk about technology. How do we empower the youth? In other words, every facet of the budget needs to have a youth mainstreaming option or part of it. Yes.
So kwa kila sekta ya government, whether county or national, kunafaa kuwa na youth ako hapo ako involved in also the planning of the budget.
Absolutely.
Ndio tukue kwa hiyo conversation.
Absolutely. Both the Azimio and the the Kenya Kwanza guys have talked about youth inclusion, youth mainstreaming, and even gone to the extent of talking about youth advisors, so that every ministry has some sort of youth advisors that tells them this is what are the issues on the ground, these are what are the issues on the ground, because we found that there's a significant disconnect of some people who don't actually really know what's happening on the ground. And so for us, then that will mean that it's not just the advisor, but under the advisory, there's also a budget, an inclination. There is also an inclusion of the plans into the youth matters.
All right. I want to take a short break. 27 minutes to 10 a.m. Remember, we're talking about the Youth Policy Dialogue Forum. And kama leo ndio unajoin conversation, thank you so much for finally joining. Hii ni conversation yenye tumekuwa nayo tukisema my youth lazima tukue part of the conversation. Youth Policy Dialogue Forum with Bwana William ODHIAMBO Ramogi, who's the CEO of Elim Capital Limited. Kama kuna swali lolote ama unataka kulearn kitu chochote, stick around right here.
Have a reggae morning on Vibes Radio.
True to Vibes Radio mission, tumepartner na National Youth Council kuongea juu ya Youth Dialogue Forum. Yes, sisi kama ma youth lazima tukue part of the conversation. Na ukiangalia the Youth Policy Dialogue Forum inaendelea, kwanza this Friday tutakuwa on ground Mombasa na National Youth Council. Kama hizo maswali zote zenye uko nazo, you want to be part of the dialogue, keep it right here Vibes Radio, tutakwambia exactly pahali itakuwa. Lakini karibu sana Bwana Robert. I know
William.
Sorry, nimesema Robert. William.
You're baptizing me afresh.
Anyway, thank you so much for making the time to be here this morning.
Thank you.
I was actually checking Elim Capital and the work that you do. Very substantial. Before we took the break, before we started, nilikuwa nakuambia wewe ni msewa investment. Ukaniambia in fact the past couple of years imekuwa nini?
Mostly research.
Social
and economic research. And most of our research has been inclining towards labor economics na youth employment.
For those who don't understand, research ni muhimu kwa nini? Especially kwa biashara.
So, ukitaka kuinvest, tuseme unataka kwenda Nyeri, unataka kwenda kuinvest, weke biashara hapo super. Now, you have some questions in your mind. Je, hawa se watanunua? Na kama watanunua at what price? Na ni vitu gani sana wangetaka hapo Nyeri? So, you know, those questions will not be answered until you talk to people of Nyeri.
Yes.
Now, that's where research comes in. You just go and talk to people of Nyeri and ask them, okay, so like if we came here with a super, what kind of things would you want in that super? And what prices would you be comfortable with? In terms of location, duka mnataka ikuwe wapi? Something like that. But then there's also the social research, which is before, for example, we put a program. Kwa mfano, tunataka kusema kwamba tunataka kupea vijana pesa ya kufanya biashara. But do we know if that is what they want? Do we know if that is the real gap? So then you go and just talk to the vijana who are in business and ask them, okay, you guys are in business. What are the challenges? And what do you think is the solution? So that mse asikuje tu na solution, ametoka nayo sijui New York, alafu anakuja na wabandikia na solution haiwezi wasaidia. So you do that research and then unakushow, okay, first, sisi problem yetu ni challenges ambayo tuna propose ni hizi. And then, hata kama ninio usituletee pesa mingi sana, usituletee pesa kidogo sana, utakuwa umetusaidia. Kitu kaa this amount, kila mtu inaweza kuwa iko sawa. So now those conversations now lead to you doing a report. Alavasa that now informs the programming, programs ambazo zinafanywa ama any decision that is made.
Ukiangalia wa Kenya, kwa sababu I'm sure umefanya research huku kule kila pahali. Ukiangalia Kenya, ma youth sana needs zao zinakuanga gani? Kwa sababu ukiangalia subsequent governments zenye zinakuja wanasema tumepatia vijana kazi. Ukiangalia kazi zenyewe unapata in that area kuna wase wengi wameenda university, lakini kazi yenye imeletwa ni ya kazi kufieka. Na tunasema kweli kazi ni kazi. Kama hiyo ndio umepata ni sawa. Lakini we're talking from a research na sasa tuko kwa policy. Sisi ndio tunasema kama ma youth, hii ndio tunataka. Notice needs gani ndio ziko haswa?
I agree with you kwa sababu umechangia kidogo kwamba one of the needs ni maneno ya employment. Na employment is a big need for young people. But you know, employment starts with as we had mentioned, inaanza na education. Kwa sababu kama education haijafikia pale kiwango ambayo inastahili kufikia, hata wakati wa employment sasa kutafuta kazi inakuwa ngori kwa sababu you're not ready for that employment. And so that's one of the things that we are talking about in terms of needs. Skills must be prioritized, skills for the youth. But on the other hand also, in terms of employment, yes, I agree. You need to think short term, you need to think mid term, and you need to think long term. Short term ndio hii sasa unaambiwa kwamba fieka. Ndio unaambiwa, clean up. Kwa sababu you have needs now. We probably don't have resources or anything else anywhere else to take you. So tunakwambia, oya, we fieka, at least tupate kitu ya kwenda nayo nyumbani tukifikiriaga hii maneno. But then there is the midterm, ya kwamba, okay, in the midterm, can we then allow them to do small businesses? And how we can now, ile ya kwamba boda, matatu, small businesses hapa na pale, ya kuhakikisha kwamba at least you can survive in the midterm. In the long term, however, we need to build these businesses not to be just small, but big enough to hire others or to employ others, so that kama leo uko na biashara ya boda and you are thinking of transport, going into transport, can we then help you have a bigger business of transport? But one of the challenges ambao tuko nayo ni vijana hawataki kuunite, so that wewe uko na boda, you have some investment of 200,000, boda mbili, mimi niko na 4, umse yako na 3. So it's just disjointed money, But if we can bring it together and build trust and properly structure it, unaweza kuta kwamba these small resources can have synergy, because you probably have 5 million or 10 million, ambayo sasa now you can play with. So in the long term, I think there is need for one, a lot of collaboration, and 2, structuring and making these small businesses to be formal. 3, in terms of now thinking, how do we compete at a global scale, so that someone who is working in Nairobi, who is being educated in Nairobi, can get work in Nairobi first and foremost, but also in Delhi, New York, London, Paris, so that then we think global, and that's part of the long-term thinking. So the needs are many, because there's the educational, there's the funding, there's the marketing support, there's the training, there's the insurance for those who are in business. The needs are many, and I think we are attacking it from different facets.
Now, ukiangalia, when we're talking about youth policy and dialogue forum, you've talked about short term, long term, and short term, mid term, and long term. Mimi nikiangalia naona short term na mid term. Hiyo long term ndio kwa sababu tunafaa sisi kama ma youth to join the conversation, kwa sababu sioni kama kuna hiyo investment ya long term kwa ma youth na biashara.
So now in long term, I don't think there's any politician who would do long term. Our sasa nasana fikiraga short term na mid term. But if you look at, for example, what the Ministry of Education has done, CBC, they are thinking, how can we give you competency that goes beyond now, and that, but also empowers you to work in any capital of the world. CBC yenyewe iko na issues. Banake wengi wamelalamikia kwamba they don't see the right philosophy employed in it. Lakini at least you seeing that someone somewhere is thinking long term. Kwa sababu in terms of long term, we must think both education, we must think health, and we must think in terms of employment as well. And so hapo nafikiri there is an element of it, but I don't think it's sufficient. And that's why you see that now today we are talking about youth mainstreaming in all the sectors of the economy, so that now, because the youth will be here 50 years from now, some of these guys in government will not be here 50 years from now, so that now they can think long term. When they go to education, think long term. When you go to health, think long term. When we go to tech, think long term. And have budgets for implementing these long-term thoughts.
Why are we not seeing the youth involved in the economic and financial planning of the country?
Are they not? One of the challenges we've had is this thing called public participation. It is not structured. It is not properly engaging. It's neither here nor there. It's in the law that there needs to be public participation. But in practice, it's very unstructured.
Let's talk about it in its ideal form.
Thank you. Let me then dream nicely.
Inafaa kuaje? Sababu ukiongelesha the average youth ajui kwamba anafaa kuwa involved kwa hiyo planning ya budget na kila kitu yenye ina involve hii country.
First of all, I would want a government, a county government or the national government to make use of technology, so that now on their websites we need to see that this policy is in draft. Please prepare, and then there is a proper timetable and work plan. Ya kwamba sahi iko under technocrats. The technocrats are working on it. When they are done, they'll take it to the minister for approval. After the minister has approved it, it needs to go to the public. And so then, by the time now I'm going to the website, I know it's at this level, and it will be coming to the public, let's say in November of 2022. So that now in my planning, I start thinking in that direction. But it also empowers the rest of us in the public to start thinking about that policy. Because what these guys do is they just harass you. Next week we are having public participation. So you have not prepared. You didn't even know there was such a policy in the pipeline. And it's very uncouth. The second thing also is it needs to be both ways. One, institutionalized, and two, in individual contributions. Institutions, every government department knows the stakeholders for that department. Can you then just notify them that this policy is under review or is being prepared? Can you send in your contributions so that then we have your contribution? That is public participation, because now you have institutional contributions to this policy that is being made. And then by the time now you're done, by the time you're coming to individual contributions, even before that date, just invite letters. You know, invite contributions or memorandas, if you can call them that. And then guys can now build on it. By the time you're coming to the public forum, you already have sufficient data. And so that you are just engaging in terms of this is what has been raised, this is what we think, this is what has been raised. This. But these guys lock it up, keep it secret until the final day when they are coming. So it's very unstructured, it's all over, haphazard.
Final advice kwa youth, especially kwa historia economic and financial planning of the country, especially how can we be involved? Ungewa advice aje? Because consider putting all these things, tusha dream, tusha sema inafaa kuaje, what should we do now?
Let me give you a story to just tell you how powerful the youth are. Some time back, and I think it was last year, the IMF had offered Kenya a second loan. And Kenyans were livid, very uncomfortable with another loan. So guys went to the internet and made noise just in the internet. There was nothing on the streets. And then I remember us guys being called TISA, Okoa Uchumi, Okoa Mombasa. So now we were called to have a conversation with the IMF around these issues. And we were telling them the way we are uncomfortable with the percentages. And they are saying, don't look at the GDP, debt to GDP ratio. What do you want us to look at? Because that's the metric, actually, that is being looked at globally. Anyways, what happened is they actually called us and had a sit down with us to just have that conversation and make sure that they have a buy-in. But that slowed down the borrowing spree of the government, because the partner who is supposed to give the money is uncomfortable with the public, the bad PR
image.
In principle, what I'm saying is, you might think that your power is small, but it is actually very powerful. Most of the government policies that come depend on public goodwill. So you need to agitate, you need to make noise, you need to make a lot of noise on a matter that you're uncomfortable with. Because you see, right now, there are some statistics that are coming in that unemployment is under 12%. Vijana wako na kazi, vijana wanaendelea poa, economy is growing, GDP is going up. So when you tell people like guys don't have jobs, you sound like you are the one off. Because really the youth are quiet and the government is saying the youth have jobs. And so you as a technocrat, you find yourself at an awkward position. I think we need to make noise, and I think we need to make a lot of noise just to communicate where we are, what we want, and what we need. So that now encourages people in government to make the right choices and the right decisions.
All right, 10 minutes to 10 a.m. Thank you so much, William ODHIAMBO Ramogi.
That was short.
I know. Time does fly when, you know, when we're really getting that information. But najua ama MVP wamepata hiyo information. I can see one MVP hapa anaitwa Madre Reggae anasema kwa box kwanza kwa hiyo ya Agribiz. Hebu uliza Willy hizo markets. Acha kuita Willy. Hizo markets ziko wapi? Then market mtu akipata wananunua products kwa bei ya chini, si unapata umespend more kukuza hiyo product na chenye unapata inakuwa so hard. Neza taka uni advice kuepuka vitu ka hizo. By the way, I'm a farmer.
Lovely. Lovely. Very lovely. Kuna two markets. There's the local market and the global market. The global market is very sensitive to things like fertilizer na madawa ya kuua wadudu. So it means that you need to be more careful. But it also means that you can start having conversations with your potential buyer before you start farming. That helps you to ensure that you adhere to their standards. By the time now the product is out, they are not uncomfortable with it because they've worked with you the journey, and they will still do the tests, but you will pass the tests because you've adhered to their standards. There's the local market. As in the local market, sisi hatunaga story mingi sana. Sisi tutengeneze tu tomato mzuri akitanunua. But it also calls for a lot of partnerships, because on one hand, I think one of the biggest challenges we have in this country is corruption. Kutoa tu ninio potatoes hapa juu machinery beyond Limuru kuileta Nairobi. Ile kusimamishwa kwa barabara na polisi ni mingi. And so what I know is guys partner with some middlemen. You know, middlemen are not exactly bad people. They are good middlemen that don't want to kill your business because they want you to be there tomorrow for them to do business with you. So guys partner with middlemen, especially if you don't want that stress. And just immediately you're done with the farming, the middleman comes and picks it up. Sasa yeye akitaka kuhongana ahongani na uko mbele. There's also the institutional buyers. Institutional buyers also are keen on having you know, direct from the farmer, because now you know who the farmer is, and you at least you can follow in terms of the madawa meka fertilizers, so you know what you're buying. And so you can approach some of the institutional buyers and have conversations with them, and just in the process then you'll be able to have a ready market by the time you're done. But hata hivyo bro, I don't know whether it's a bro.
It's a bro.
It's a bro.
Yeah.
Ingia soko. Osha bidhaa ingia soko.
That's what's up.
Turo safi.
7 minutes to 10 a.m. Asante sana, and that has been a conversation with William Ramogi, and amechukua time sana. Thank you so much for taking the time to educate us, especially my youth. Kumbuka Youth Policy Dialogue Forum is going on na tutakwambia this weekend, this Friday tutakuwa Mombasa. Mombasa wapi? You got to keep it right here, Vibes Radio ndo upate hiyo ujumbe.
Positive vibrations on the morning vibes.
Vote for our Kenya. Vote for the youth policies. Vote for opportunities. Vote for the truth and values. Vote for transformation. Vote for everything good. Vote for your neighbor. For me and for you.
Right, ya vote so that future you are bright. Ikitu ya exercise killer day, killer night. Twende tukavote, everything will be alright. This is our nation, this is our life. Dear youth generation.
Hii ni home yako, you don't need an invitation. Kenya ni ya kwetu, and that calls for celebration. This is our nation, this is our nation, this is our nation.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu kwa juhudi za National Youth